March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, and here to share her personal journey is Amanda Evans Clark. Now, she lost her husband Joe to colon cancer when he was only 31 years old. But her diagnosis, treatment, and love led to her starting the Cocktails and Caregiver Foundation.
Thank you for having me. It always feels really special to be able to kind of talk about him and just recognize all that we went through and all that other cancer patients go through and caregivers.
For sure. And tell us about why you started this foundation.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that 10 years ago, I started this blog, and my husband was 28 when he was diagnosed with colon cancer. And I remember sitting there and he was like sleeping off chemotherapy. And I'm just like, what do I do with myself? And I just started writing, and I would talk about what it was like to be a caregiver. He would write sometimes and talk about his side of being a young cancer patient. And Cocktails and Chemo, the blog, was born. And it just kind of was very natural because we went from having like these cocktail dates as a young couple to spending our time together in chemotherapy. And as the blog grew and we continued to kind of share our story, the more we started reaching out to people all across the country. And we'd hear from people like, oh my gosh, like we're a young cancer family too, or no one talks about what caregivers are going through. Thank you. And it kind of it just grew and grew very organically. And my husband, he passed away in 2014. And all of a sudden it was like, I had this little following from this blog, and you're like, well, what the heck do I do with this now? And we started the foundation. And the foundation was also just kind of a guessing game, trying to figure out how to do it, but it became very focused on caring for caregivers. And just this last year, we made the name change from Cocktails and Chemo, which was kind of our personal story, to Cocktails and Caregivers, to support caregivers of all types. And so kind of a long but fast version of the last 10 years and how our foundation came to be. But it was truly just kind of a survival for us. And it's something that I cherish just in honor of Joe and all of his love that he left us.
Wow. Yeah, quite a story there. And yes, the caregiver side, boy, it was just such a big need that you've helped fill. And who does Cocktails and Caregivers actually serve?
So we say that any family caregiver that is caring for someone who needs extra help. So we care for a ton of caregivers who are caring for a loved one with cancer. Since our name change, we've now been able to help families who are going through ALS, SMA, different disabilities. Because as I would talk to people as a caregiver, I was like, man, we all have different stories, but we all feel kind of the same. There's a lot of isolation. You feel really guilty to say that it's hard because you're watching your loved one go through this. Invisible is a way that a lot of our friends in the community to describe it, because you just feel like, does anyone see me? Does anyone know what sacrifices I'm making and how hard this is? And so now we're able to help all kinds of different caregivers and hopefully just give them a voice in knowing that we see you and we know this is hard.
Boy, it's amazing. Now, how do you help caregivers? Tell us how we can go about that.
Yeah, my husband, he had colon cancer. And so we spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital and in chemotherapy. And I realized very quickly that we just needed something kind of tangible. So we send care packages to caregivers all across the country, a few dozen a month. And it's something just simple as a bag that they could take to appointments. Sometimes we put a journal in there. We always have a gift card. A handwritten note is really important. And I always say, like, we're not curing cancer. Like, I wish we were, but we're doing something today, and we're doing something tangible. So when you have a friend that's diagnosed, I mean, we've all been there where you're like, what do I do? How do I help? So we kind of hope that when you don't know what to do, the Cocktails and Caregivers does, and we can get a care package in the mail. We give large dollar grants away to families every month who are having trouble paying for childcare. That was something we went through. My daughter was 1 when my husband died. So trying to choose between being home and caring for her, or being at chemotherapy, like, that's not fair. No family should have to go through that. So we will pay for a month of childcare for families who are nominated on our website. And we're just kind of always trying to fill the gaps. We do online support groups. We do in-person events, which we can't wait to get those going again. Anything we can do to kind of form that connection for caregivers to realize like they're not in this alone.
Yeah, for sure. And as a caregiver, your firsthand experience really shines through here. And as a caregiver for me, it's just it can be heartbreaking, and just to get just a small something like you're talking about, just helping this remind that person that, they're not alone, that goes a long way. So how does someone nominate a caregiver?
Yeah, on our website, cocktailsandcaregivers.org, we have a place there that says nominate, and you fill out their information, you tell us a little bit about their story, and then we try to turn things around in about a month is the longest. We know things can change so quickly in these stories that we try to move quick. But you just nominate on our website, and then we'll be in touch with you right away.
Okay, very good. And if people want to get involved, how can they help?
Yeah, well, we have quite a social media presence. It's where we started. And so our community is there on Facebook and there on Instagram, and just sending us a note, logging on for some volunteer time there. We have opportunities to help us write care cards. We write these cards every month to caregivers to help us do that. We have opportunities just to log on to some of our sites and then to attend some of our events.
That's wonderful. So wonderful. And where can folks go for more information?
Yeah, head over to cocktailsandcaregivers.org, and we'll get you all set up. You can also slide into those DMs, and I'll answer them. We have a whole group of volunteers that are always trying to keep those communications up to date.
Wow. Okay. Amanda Evans-Clark, you're awesome.
Thank
Cocktails
you.
and Caregivers, of course, and we're going to just keep the love going for everybody involved.
Thank
So
you.
you can also head to our website for more on this, and that's firstcoastliving.net.